Charlie Kirk has always tried to dance on a string when it comes to the issue of Israel. And Nick Fuentes has always been adamant that Israel is going to drag us into hell.
So basically, Charlie Kirk is Nick Fuentes's in Nick Fuentes's mind, Charlie Kirk is like a pepper.
Worse than that. And
okay.
You'll see.
But
So I want you guys to keep in mind that this clip that we're playing of Charlie Kirk is not from recent. This isn't the get the fucking line and do what we tell you about Israel. This guy's been sucking off Israel for years. And here he is with Kimberly Guilfoyle and Donald Trump Jr. from a few years ago.
Sure. So I have a question. So from America First perspective, why do we give $3.8 billion to Israel, which is more aid than we've given to Africa, more aid than we've given to South America, and more aid than we've given to the Caribbean combined, which is home to 1 billion poor people, especially when they deliberately attacked the USS Liberty in the 1970s?
That is incorrect. Do not peddle conspiracy theories in our event.
So was that Charlie Kirk's voice?
So Charlie immediately out of the box wants to lie.
That was his voice, and this was a few years ago.
Correct.
So okay.
So this son of a bitch is already lying to his audience, lying through his teeth about the USS Liberty being attacked by Israel. Everyone fucking knows that Israel attacked the USS Liberty. And this son of a bitch is sitting up there on that stage saying, that is a lie. Don't you ever say such a thing. But it's the truth.
That actually is really frustrating, because somebody like him with a platform like that, when they're saying things that we just know to be factually untrue, it's very frustrating. We've had enough reputable military people, veterans on our show, and have addressed the USS Liberty. I believe that can you imagine, like, if Dennis Fritz was in this audience?
Oh my God.
And Charlie Kirk is saying that's a conspiracy theory. Like, we know that it's not.
But keep in mind, I think
one of the people from the USS Liberty is still alive.
He is, and he's out there saying we were attacked by Israel.
Yeah.
Period. And what's even more amazing is that you've got a very specific target audience. Now, I've been to the Turning Point USA event in Tampa. This is from a couple of years ago, just because I needed to see what the event was like. These are all basically trust fund babies from the wealthy suburbs that get sent to this little, I was going to call it sleepaway camp, but they're all going there to be in politics. It's no different than the events that Jen and I would go to in Orlando with the Democratic establishment and these spoiled freaking rich kids from South Florida and Southwest Florida that would show up there. They're all trying to get into politics and get a job. And if their parents are big donors to the party, guess what? They're going to get a job. That's how it works.
That is not acceptable. Do not say that.
Okay, Dean Rusk disagrees with you, and he was the Secretary of State at the time, but that's fine. And then the second part is also, you have the Apollo incident in which they illegally stole weapons-grade uranium. The CIA has reports on this.
Anti-Zionist,
No, I'm not anti-Israel. I'm just asking from America perspective, because it's not in our interest. They act against our interest.
Remember the short question part?
Sure. I mean, how is it in our interest that we give this money to Israel?
All right, so it's required that they have to buy American weaponry. Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East, the only place where all three monotheistic religions are allowed to peacefully practice. It's the only country in the Middle East where all three monotheistic religions are represented in their government. It's the only place in the Middle East that has any appreciation for LGBT rights whatsoever. It's the only country in the Middle East that doesn't throw homosexuals off the top of buildings when they find them. It is the only partner that we have in the fight against radical Islamic
nodding along.
Guilfoyle? Yeah, of course.
Terrorism. And the subtext of your narrative could be extrapolated to say, well, why on earth would we have a partner like Israel? Guess what? The world's a better place because of Israel.
I beg to differ. I beg to differ, Charlie.
All
evidence to the contrary.
The world is on the precipice of World War III because of Israel. Period. But they're not going to last.
The medical patents, the technological innovation, the human rights.
So I'm getting to watch the Charlie Kirk original old thing. I'm not going to get to know the new thing with Nick Fuentes.
Can you just have patience?
Okay,
really?
I'm excited to see. I can hardly contain myself.
You are such a spoiled only child. Like, it's not even funny. Like, you really let it fly sometimes.
The one common denominator of Israel since its founding, since Israel was legally founded in the 1940s, Israel.
It was never legally founded.
It was stolen. It was declared. It was declared, and then it was recognized, and then they violated that, and they've been in violation ever since then, and that was in 1967. So there's that. They're a rogue state.
And never forget why they had to get rid of Kennedy, because Kennedy never would have played along with this shit. And when LBJ got in there, which again is why a lot of people feel that LBJ was involved, you think Trump is a friend to Israel? There was never a greater friend to Israel than LBJ. He did everything. The only thing he didn't do was put the embassy in Jerusalem instead of Tel Aviv. Trump took care of that one. But don't worry, there's a point to be made about that.
Israel's been under attack from every direction you can point a compass at, from the north, from the south, from the east, and the west. And guess what? They have water to the west, and that was even at war with them. And Israel has rightfully defended its borders time and time again. It's an unbelievably complex issue. So you say, how could you possibly believe in an America first policy? Well, I'll tell you what. It's important to have partners in fights against mutual enemies. And guess what? It's Israel that time and time again has stood with America against the mutual enemies and will continue to do so. Thank you for your question.
Yes, and thank you, President Trump, for moving the embassy to Jerusalem, right? President.
Yeah, that was a good idea. That was a great idea.
I wonder how much longer she's going to be able, with all due respect, gulp and blow her way through.
Well, that's all. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. She'll be able to last as long as the fillers,
the Botox, and
that's how long they all last until whoever it is moves on to the younger model. So
this is the whole thing about like Lauren Sanchez.
They all look the same. They all look the same. It's creepy.
People also forget that Gulf Oil was married to Gavin Newsom. Like, I don't know how many people remember that, but she's made her way through a lot of powerful men over the years. And again, don't hate the player, hate the game. She wants to be relevant in the world of politics. Well, she is. In fact, I think she still has a job in the Trump administration. She's like ambassador to Greece or something.
Well, she's his girlfriend or whatever.
Well, he and I don't think they're not together anymore.
Right. They broke up. But at this point, I think they were a couple.
Yes. At this time when they filmed it, they were. Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Trump moved the embassy to Jerusalem.
That's right. All right. We'll do one or two more. I think we're running two
more questions.
Okay.
Maybe three. Maybe. Well, that was bad.
I think this guy gets into the whole thing about he starts going to the whole thing about immigration. So
the point of that was to go back and give like the premise of where Charlie Kirk is as a complete Zio tool.
Saying that he's a Zio tool would be an understatement. And here's where Nick Fuentes comes into play. Now, for those of you who are familiar with Nick Fuentes, he is what I call the true whisperer of the incel community. But he's also very insightful. He's no schlub. He actually knows a lot of stuff. He's an excellent orator, as you're about to see. And he has a certain level of disdain for Charlie Kirk in particular. Now, we're going to get into Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson on Saturday. But this is a much bigger issue here because it is directly related to what we're talking about. So here's Nick Fuentes addressing Charlie Kirk, particularly on the issue of Israel-Palestine.
And it just goes to show, by the way, Charlie Kirk, who a week ago said, I'm doing a focus group. I'm open to a contrary opinion on Israel and Palestine. He's now doing damage control on their behalf. And one has to wonder, is he being paid by Israel?
Or blackmail?
Without a doubt, the answer is yes. For Charlie Kirk to go on his show today and say, there is no forced starvation, here comes a rabbi to tell us why, without a shadow of a doubt, he is being paid by them. That is why he is doing damage control on their behalf, because he is on their payroll. And someone who is on the payroll of a foreign state making excuses for war crimes is not somebody that you can trust on anything.
I want to know exactly what people see in Charlie Kirk. I can at least see why people listen to Nick Fuentes. I can see it. I'm not blind. I understand why he attracts a lot of impressionable minds and why people feel that he is an outlet to their anger. That's a big thing. Nick is speaking to a lot of angry men in particular out there who do not feel that they have a place in this world. And that is a very dangerous place to be, especially today. But I want to know exactly what it is that people like about Charlie Kirk. What the hell does he talk about that makes him relevant?
I think he's just like somebody said, I think I saw it, that he's just a Christian version of Ben Shapiro. He's just, I don't know what he does. He's on the payroll.
Yeah, I would say that that's probably a fair comparison. I would give him that one. Why not?
I mean,
it seems pretty reasonable. But the difference is Nick Fuentes is not sponsored by multinational corporations. He has essentially built an audience through two platforms, Rumble and X. And that's it. That's all he uses. He's not even on YouTube, which is kind of amazing when you think.
Well, and this is why someone like me has no idea who he is, because I'm not on those social media. So how would I ever know? That's why I don't know who a lot of these people are.
The biggest reason why Fuentes is catching so much fire right now is because the receipts are there. He has been speaking out. I'm probably going to play it on Saturday, but he did a clip all the way back in like 2018 when he was like 17, 18 years old, specifically about Israel. So he's been on this for a long time. He's not just he's not late to the party, if you will, like a lot of others are. But he's also somebody who is extremely nationalistic. And if you are America first, then listen, if you're nationalistic, that's fine. There's a difference between being proud to be an American and proud to just be a white American and think that that's all that should exist. But he gets banned specifically because he does not hold back when it comes to the issue of Israel-Palestine. He is as direct about it as you can possibly get. He says that Israel controls our government and our policies and our economics. And you know what? He's right. They do. And so if he is moving the America First movement against Israel, which I believe he is, because that's how much of a reach he has. And all you have to do is look at other clips that are on YouTube right now covering things that he's talking about, and people are listening in a big way. He has a real, legitimate platform of influence. And he has called out Charlie Kirk time and again to debate him. And we're going to get to a little clip of that shortly. But he has been adamant. You believe in this shit? Speak out on it and debate me on it. I'm not a debate bro guy. I think most of that is bullshit. But you know what? Nick Fuentes would absolutely bury Charlie Kirk where he stands if they were ever to do that. So I will continue. Fuentes is a racist, sexist, rage baiter. Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. Sure.
That's not somebody that you can take the good with the bad. How can anybody take him seriously as a Christian? How can you go up there and pretend to be a godly man? Why? Because you tell people to get married? Oh, look, I have my kid. You know, he posted the other day, he's on Fox and Friends, and his daughter runs up and jumps into his lap. And we're supposed to look at this carefully manicured public relations material and say, aw, what a family man. What a good Christian. He's practically a pastor, the way he evangelizes the young. Well, it's a good thing Charlie Kirk's daughter doesn't live in Gaza, because his daughter would have been fucking murdered.
And yet Charlie constantly wants to talk about the world is a better place because of Israel. I don't know. I think he's wrong.
Let this play for a bit. I'm not exactly sure where he's going with this whole thing with him.
It's a good thing Charlie Kirk's daughter was born to a rich man in America who lies for a living and is paid by billionaires to do it, and wasn't born in Gaza. Because if Charlie Kirk, the family man, if him and his family were over there, if they were born in the wrong place at the wrong time, they would be getting shot in the back of the head for trying to get food and water while they were starving to death by the Israelis that they defend. And that's disgusting. It's especially disgusting in light of what he'll defend. Oh, look, his daughter's in the studio. She runs, oh, daddy. She runs up and jumps onto his lap. And then 2 days later, he goes on his show and says, they're babies. Babies are being starved to death. Well, Hamas is stealing the aid. They deserve it. It's collective guilt. They support Hamas. Release the hostages. It's sick. It's disgusting. And people need to push harder. We need to push for more.
And he's right.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting that we could sit here and in the same conversation be on the same team with Miss Rachel and Nick Fuentes on the same issue?
But that's where you know the walls are closing in on Israel. And we said this on the last stream. When the Democratic corporate establishment spent years saying that the walls were closing in on Trump with Russiagate, the walls really are closing in on Israel. Because as you said, if somebody like Miss Rachel, Nick Fuentes, or Mehdi Hassan, and Candace Owens, and Tucker Carlson, and
Tucker Carlson is interesting. Oh, I don't think I'm in that mix, but Tucker Carlson's very interesting to me.
Rania Khalek and Crystal Ball, as they did earlier today. This will not last. The hardest reality for all of us, as I've said time and again, is that we can't save the Palestinian people. We just can't. But what we can do is we can change the fortunes. Glenn Greenwald, too, Noah, excellent point. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah.
I am too, Tony. You and me both. It's way more of a Peter Saturday TMZ thing, but he's doing it in a 2-part series. So he had to get part 1 in now so he could do the in-depth follow-up on Saturday with Osiris.
Thanks for pretending to actually care about this, Jen.
I do. No. I care about that he has an audience that he's talking to about Israel. That I care about. The crap is between, all the stuff about Nick Fuentes. I don't.
Could you guys explain exactly what this Groyper thing is? Because I know it's like
somebody
reference.
Put it in the chat before.
Yeah, somebody was referring to the fact that Groyper is basically that's what they call the Fuentes supporters. But
yes,
I'm
it's
not
just, I guess it's a nicer phrase than incel.
Maybe. But as I said, there are, I get very upset because I have pointed out time and again on this show that I've dealt with a lot of economic anxiety in my life. I've been through this type of thing. And I'd like to think that I actually have opportunity. I have a channel that I work on with a friend that we've been doing a pretty good job building this thing up. I do have a career. And even that is not necessarily enough. Economic anxiety will find you wherever you go. Now, imagine what it's like growing up now and having to deal with the limited opportunities that are actually out there. Imagine having a president of the United States who gets a second quarter jobs report that is so bad, rather than say, well, we definitely have to do something to fix this problem with the jobs in this country. Instead, it's, you're totally fired. Don't you bring me a bad jobs report that's totally inappropriate. That's the solution. I mean, I know it's easy to get really angry, exuberant, and want to shout from the rooftops about how bad things are. But what good is that going to do? The only way we can solve this problem is if we collectively work together, even with people like Nick Fuentes, who is determined. I don't care what his reasoning is. I don't care if he hates Jews. I don't care if he's a bigot. If he's not pulling the levers of power, I don't give a shit. If he is fighting on the front lines to end Israel's stranglehold over our economic and political system at home and abroad, I will fight with him for it. And all of you should too.
It's not good enough. Donald Trump throwing a little throwaway statement. Oh, we need to get more food in there. Charlie Kirk saying, oh, I'll hear you out in Israel, but I'll basically do propaganda on their behalf. It's not good enough. You got to go, dude. You got to go. What has to happen with Charlie Kirk is one of two things. One, he needs to recant his support for Israel. Not I'm going to hear everybody out, you're not an anti-Semite. No, you need to come out and say, I took foreign money. I shilled for a foreign country, and I won't anymore. That's what we need to hear. That's option one. You can't take money from a foreign government and lie on their behalf and then say, oh, well, I'm just not going to be as aggressive anymore against and calling people anti-Semites and things like that. No, you need disclosure, you need accountability. Or two, you need to leave the stage. People
Can you
cannot
pause for a
listen to
second?
somebody that they cannot.
Thanks for doing that in the middle, because now I miss my spot. Hang on.
Well, I'm just not going to be as aggressive anymore against and calling people anti-Semites and things like that. No, you need disclosure, you need accountability.
You were saying?
I just wanted to say this. Donald James, you really have to stop thinking that we're going to vote our way out of this.
Yeah, really.
You're going to say this, we want Israel to stop. The voters have to make Israel stop. Our votes don't mean anything. They mean nothing. We have seen it. It has been demonstrated repeatedly that that only the very, very top, whatever 0.1% of people have their will represented in our policy and have actual Congress people working for them. So you really need to stop thinking. We are not voting our way out of this. This is an actual revolution. And yes, we are going to have to, unfortunately, oftentimes in times like this, lock arms with pieces of shit like this. That's how it has to work. And if you're scared of getting cooties, you're not going to be able to lock arms and be part of the revolution. It's just not going to work.
They can bring the National Guard into Washington, D.C. and cover the nation's capital. You know what they can't do? They don't have a standing army big enough to cover all of the local city councils and municipalities throughout the country, the tens, if not hundreds of thousands of places that they would have to go. You know why? Because as we have been trying to point out forever, everything is local. You want change? Look at what Iowa City did. And you could do that in your own backyard if you want. You might not be able to get your federally elected representative to do it because they're all bought by corporate power. But remember, guys, they have the money. We have the numbers. We should have the power. But right now, this is tyranny because the people fear the government. The government does not fear the people. And we have to change that. Somebody like Nick Fuentes would tell you to make the government fear the people.
Or two, you need to leave the stage. People cannot listen to somebody that they cannot trust. In particular, cannot trust that they're not taking money from a foreign government. You can't have it that way. Can't call yourself Turning Point USA. I'm an ally of the president. We're waving the flag for the young people and do the rest.
He's right. But this is also why Charlie Kirk is not going to do any of those things, because Charlie Kirk is compromised, just like Ben Shapiro was compromised.
And here's the thing. People in the chat, of course, are all getting in a tizzy about, you're propping up Nick Fuentes and he's a racist and he's all this stuff. Yeah, all of those things are all true. If you wanted us to only talk about like the best of us, we would have to have like the 24/7 Dolly Parton, Miss Rachel channel here. Like that's just not how this is going to work. We have to address these things.